Okay, let's move to the following presentation. Next speaker is Nikolas Thomopoulos, which is a senior lecturer in the University of Surrey, and at the same time is the chair of the wider impacts and scenario evaluation of autonomous and connected transport, which is a network of about 200 experts from 41 countries dealing with these issues. Nikolas has recently co-edited a book on the policy implications of autonomous vehicles, and at the same time a special issue about sustainability of automatic and connected transport. You have around 35 minutes for the presentation, then we will move to questions, comments, and even the conclusions of the panel. Nikolas, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Hello, everyone, and thank you to the organizers and to the MoBAE project. Can I just check? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah. It's fine, clear.
Let me just read.
There's a message there.
Okay, so is this okay now with the slides?
Yeah, the slides are okay, but we have a message in the screen.
I think should I close it?
No. Manuel, ¿nos puedes dar una ayuda con esto, por favor?
Nikolas, can you try to deactivate the sharing mode of the presentation and go back and forth, just in case?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will broadcast the presentation from my own computer.
So is it any better now?
It's still there.
Yeah. Okay, I can try to share your presentation from my computer and give you the access to the mouse.
Okay. I'll just stop sharing.
Okay, so okay, there you are.
Great, thank you. Let me just see. Okay, can you see the slide now?
No, yes, we see the slide, but the message is still there. The message about the webcam.
Yeah, I don't see it. Maybe I can try to turn off my camera, maybe. Is it gone now?
No, it's still there.
Okay, because I don't see it.
Please, can you move to the following slide, just to see if it disappears? No, it's still there. May you click on the OK button, please, and see what happened.
To click where?
In the okay, that's fine. It disappeared now.
Oh, okay.
Please go ahead.
I didn't do anything. Okay, that's good. Thank you, and apologies for this. Hopefully, it will work out. Right. So as I was saying, thanks a lot for the invitation and for organizing this seminar. It's really interesting, and the MoBAE project is really interesting also. And I'm collaborating also with Dr. Pablo Cabanelas, and I'll say a few things about WISE Act in my presentation. So, okay, now. Yeah, but now the slides, I don't think I have access now to the slides. Maybe, I don't know, Manuel, if you have access and you can change it.
Nikolas, are you able to move back and forth in the presentation?
No, I don't have access to the slides now. I don't have access to the cursor.
Try again, please. Now.
No, I don't have access.
Are you watching the? Are you seeing the presentation?
Yes, I can see the slide. Oh, now I think it moved.
Now?
Yes. Okay. So let's try to do it this way. Okay, so let's try to make a start, and hopefully it will work. Let's see. So what I was planning to talk about was actually follow up from Maria, who, as far as I understand, so apologies for having to do this in English, but my Spanish is not good enough yet. So I think Maria covered a lot of the key issues, particularly also about the environmental side of things, which I will not cover in my presentation. So what I plan to do is talk to you a bit about the trends. So a bit about the wider trends, and then on the mobility side of things. And then I'll say a few things about WISE Act and where it kind of intersects with MoBAE and the kind of activities that we're doing right now. Then I will focus on a recent paper that was published just a couple of weeks ago with a few WISE Act colleagues. And I'll present the user side. So what are the users looking for, what they are interested in. I'll conclude with some kind of highlights and issues for further research or further discussion if people are interested. So let me just start with the megatrends. So there is this report for anyone who hasn't had a chance to have a look or to read the Joint Research Center, the JRC report, which Maria mentioned in her presentation. It's really interesting. It's very comprehensive. It was launched last summer, so a lot of people have been referring to it. It's an excellent resource at this stage. So what I'm trying to do, I'll just try to build up on this. So the first thing to say is about the investment, so the economic side of things. So the transport investment, including infrastructure, has been anticipated in the next, well, in the 10-year, in a decade from 2016 to 2025 to be about 14 trillion US dollars. So this is about 1.4 trillion US dollars per year, which is roughly about the GDP of Spain annually. So this is quite a lot of investment we're talking about, and this is planned. Of course, all this was before the pandemic, but still we're doing good progress with all those issues and all those investments. So alongside investment, of course, there are issues like population growth, which of course is growing a lot, maybe not in Europe, mainly in Asia and Africa. but also things like urbanization and aging population. So people live a bit longer, and many more people will live in cities in the near future. And I guess all of you have heard about the projection by 2050, there should be about 2/3 of the people living in cities. So particularly again in areas like Asia and Africa. And this will create a lot of social issues, and new challenges will come up. And we're experiencing this with COVID-19 right now, but this is the wider context that we're operating within. So just to focus a bit more on the mobility side of things, digitalization is a key element in the last decade or two, and we're seeing this in all sorts of different aspects of transport. So sharing transport has been facilitated a lot by all those smartphone apps, by all the different web interfaces, but all the different data exchanges between different stakeholders within the transport value chain, and mass mobility as a service. This is a really good example where all this is happening. And of course, we have different modes, have the existing modes like cars and buses. I have also new modes like drones, which again were mentioned, and I think you have quite a few exciting companies active in the region. So we'll be looking at those things also within WISAC, but lots of development across Europe. I think Maria mentioned also the Green Deal and the current focus on sustainability and low carbon transport. So electric vehicles is an area with, which attracts lots of interest right now and in the next few years, actually. But what I'm going to focus today on is more on autonomous and automated vehicles. So automated mobility, it's the area we'll focus on, and hopefully just give you some more insight on this. So speaking about this, there is this autonomous vehicles readiness index by KPMG, which was started in 2018, and so now it's the third year, and just published the latest results. So countries like Singapore and the Netherlands have been at the top all this time, followed by other countries like United States and quite a few of the Scandinavian countries, so Norway, Finland, Sweden, they're all at the very top. And you can see Spain, of course, is within those countries, but slightly going down in the rankings. And this is not that there is anything less happening in Spain. It's just more about the competition, more countries coming in and joining this context of automated and autonomous mobility. So this is why there are all these changes. But this is quite interesting, actually, if you link it to the previous point I was saying about investment. So here you can see where investment is happening, and we're doing a similar exercise within WISAC about the trials, so where AV trials, the tests are taking place. So it's quite nice actually to see those lists growing, but a few more details are needed, of course. So this gives you a really good snapshot of what is happening. So just to give you also a snapshot from the UK. So this is a recent example. So only this year it was launched, and it's called Cargo, and it was obviously developed in the UK based on the colors. Maybe you can guess that it was from Wales or not, but that's where it started. The whole innovation that it's focusing in last mile deliveries, and this happened to be very contemporary now because of the COVID-19 situation and all the restrictions, the increased demand about deliveries, but also the distancing restrictions and regulations. So it isn't automated, actually it's an autonomous in the tests vehicle, and it's fully electric. So it combines both technologies in that sense. But what's a bit unclear, it has not been tested yet, is what is its position in the value chain. And I guess this is something, again, which could be relevant with the MoBAE project. And I guess there will be lots of similar topics to explore. And this is something that we're looking within WISAC also. So I will say now a few things about WISAC. And we do have, so Pablo Cabanelas and also Professor Graham Parkhurst, who will be speaking tomorrow. They are leading one of our working groups, so that's working group 3. which is focusing exactly on this topic. So the business challenges, including deliveries, logistics, and freight transport, and of course all the different business models in those sectors. So it's quite interesting, I think quite relevant also. So just going to the objectives of WISAC, so what we're trying to do. So essentially, WISAC is focusing on the wider impacts of autonomous and connected transport. We have started in 2017, so now we have about 1 more year left, and we did decide at the beginning to focus on mostly on urban road transport, although we could focus on all of the different modes. So it's interesting to see that new projects, new research is focusing also on different modes like air transport and drones, for example. We do have lots of different experts in our groups, including a lot of academics, quite a few practitioners, and again, quite a few policymakers from local or regional authorities. But we're always looking for interested parties. So if you're interested, you're very welcome. Feel free to speak to Pablo, or, Graham, or myself at some point today or tomorrow, or get in touch with us. We have experts in about 41 countries, so it's around 200 people by now. So it's a quite large network of experts with very different backgrounds. What we're working on has been the terminology, and that's a key challenge in many projects and collaborative networks right now in this area. So this is what we focused on at the beginning. We're also focusing on the different trials, as I said, so different tests of autonomous and automated vehicles taking place not only in Europe but more worldwide. So again, if anyone has anything to offer or wants to contribute, you're very welcome. Our working group 5 is focusing more on simulation and scenarios, and currently we're doing also our survey, which we started at the beginning of this year, and it is actually running in Spain right now. So I guess Pablo will say a few things either today or tomorrow, and feel free again to get in touch with us about it, because I will speak about it today. So this is the structure, just to finish up with the WISAC background. So we have 5 working groups. The first one is focusing on the institutional and regulatory challenges. The second one on the social challenges. The third one on the business, as I said, which includes also logistics, freight, deliveries. The fourth one is about transport demand, and the fifth one, as I mentioned, is focusing on scenarios, evaluation, and simulations. So what we'll present today is based on some previous work, and it's all been collaborative, including mostly different WISAC members, and it will be basically on the fourth paper, which is on the right-hand side. It was published in the Sustainability Journal a couple of weeks ago, as I said, and that's what I will present today. So first of all, why focus on user preferences? Well, it should be pretty self-explanatory, but let me say a word about it, because so far, particularly a few years ago, all the interest, all the push about autonomous and automated vehicles was through the public sector, so governments, either national governments or more lately also from cities, but also by the private sector. So could be automotive manufacturers, could be other companies, even software companies or component manufacturers. But one element that was missing has been the users, and people has either not been involved at all at the early stages, or in the last year, I think just over a year. And that's also when we launched our survey, and the Eurobarometer survey, as Maria mentioned, was also launched. This is when those kind of surveys try to incorporate and include the user perspective. So what do people prefer? And this is very important, because it's not only the demand, but there are so many different aspects of AVs that are being designed right now, and key decisions are being made. So we do believe it's a very crucial element, and this is why we launched our survey. And we were very happy actually to collaborate with the Joint Research Center and the team that Maria is working in, and the Eurobarometer. So we'll really looking forward to completing those surveys the next month or so, and we'll be very happy to share all of our outputs and analysis. So just to give you a glimpse of what we have been focusing on. So this specific paper only used about 1,600 responses from those 8 countries, as you can see. The interesting element is that we tried also to include countries that are in WISAC but do not belong to the EU, and this means that the Eurobarometer survey could not include them just by default. So Montenegro or Iceland, as you can see, we did pay a lot of time and effort to try to collect survey responses, and our representatives there were really good, and they did invest a lot of time and resources. So now we can have a lot of results. So this specific analysis I'm going to present to you is based on those around 1,600 responses for those 8 countries, which also have a quite interesting mix of larger and smaller countries with different car ownership levels. So what you see at the bottom of the slide here is how people travel today. So we did use a scale from 1 to 6. I'll explain this in the next slide. So this explains the 6 you see in the private car row. And this means that people that are car drivers really value to reach their destination at the time they expect to reach their destination. And they want this reliability, so they know that more or less within the, let's say, around 20 minutes, if this is the usual travel time, they will reach their destination. Whereas with other means, for example, public transport, might be unhappy. Interestingly, and that's what I've highlighted also in the lower row, people who cycle also value highly their the travel time it takes to reach their destination. So we do see 2 very different, very distinct groups here, and they both have different preferences, which is absolutely fine, of course. But those who cycle have a kind of higher interest, are more high values about the environment. So this is quite important to keep into account, particularly in relation to what Maria was saying at the wider policy objectives at a regional, national, and European level. So those are again 2 questions from the WISAC survey. So the first one is to try to see how people would feel if they were next to an AV. And as we can see, it's most people would be okay, and just slightly, so you can see the middle, the motorcyclists, those on scooters or e-scooters, and those on bicycles, they would be a bit concerned, because of course they're more vulnerable when they are on the road, and this varies a lot in different countries, in different cities. So nothing unexpected there. Whereas if you look on the right side, where the question was, when would you consider purchasing an AV? So people do really value the reliability and the safety. So once AVs become quite reliable and safe, people would be willing to purchase an AV. And this is very interesting, because this whole paper I'm presenting today, it did focus quite a lot on the safety issues, and this is the basic selling point of AVs, increased safety. But you can see in the bottom that people are more reserved to actually buy quickly, so in the near future, to buy an AV. And of course, it has to do with a lot of reasons, so we did not ask more in depth, did not explore the reasons, and those could vary a lot between those 8 countries, as you can imagine, because there are very different contexts. But this is a very interesting finding. We think we definitely need to explore this a bit further, and we're having some discussion with the JRC about this. And this actually gives you, I hope you can see that, maybe it's a bit small, but hopefully get the idea. So the key point here is about the wider impact. So what do people expect and anticipate AVs to do? So on the top, you can see this is linked to safety. So people expect AVs to reduce accidents. So again, this is along the same lines, and this is the expected output. So if you go a bit further down, so in the middle, this is about travel time and the use of this travel time. So people are quite hopeful that they would be able to do other activities while not driving. So this is one of the key benefits of AVs, and this opens up a lot more opportunities and a lot of other issues. Of course, there are quite a few preconditions linked to that, but this is what we're discussing also within WISAC, and there's a lot of literature about it. And then the next two points highlighting the lower blue box, there are 2 points. So one is about employment, and I will touch this a bit later on. So of course, there are a lot of concern about employment, and do take into account that some of those countries who did our survey, they did complete this before the lockdown, some after the lockdown. So there is some variation about the impact of the COVID-19 in responses. But the lowest, the one in the blue box at the bottom, what it focuses on is that it will open up, AVs will open up new opportunities for the elderly and for other socioeconomic groups. So again, this is a quite positive impact, and there's quite a lot of hope about it. Just briefly now focus on those two socioeconomic groups, and then I will summarize. So the first group we focused on this paper is the elderly drivers. So they will obviously get more opportunities to drive and increase their accessibility. And of course, they do value, similarly to the rest of the population, the rest of the respondents of our survey, they do value the reliability and arriving at the destination at the time they estimated. So nothing too unexpected here. And one finding that is quite interesting is whether people would like to have someone like an operator, an AV operator in the vehicle or remotely. And what we found is definitely for the elderly travelers, they would like both for themselves and for their children. So we had those two questions. One was for yourself as a respondent, and one if you have children, or assuming they do have children under the age of 16, whether again you would allow them to travel by themselves. And most of the answers said yes, I would allow them to travel, but only if a human operator was in the vehicle. And then going to the second group, as I said, so this is the people who did declare in the survey that have some disability. Of course, those was only a very small subsample of our survey respondents, but we can see actually that, of course, reliability is quite important. So again, very similar to the rest of the population. And again, they would like to have a human operator just to assist with similar things like travel information or getting on and off the vehicle, or if there's something unexpected while traveling. So essentially, it's quite similar along all groups. So just to try to summarize, the key things, as I mentioned, was that people really value their travel time, and they want these new modes, no matter if it's automated vehicles or mass, or we can try to generalize, not based on this survey, but through maybe other surveys or other studies that have taken place, that they do value the arrival time, and so punctuality and reliability. Safety is of course important for people, and accident reduction. However, it's not the top priority as was in the early days highlighted when AVs were promoted or really trialed. The issue of employment, this is very, very important, and now due to COVID-19 is becoming higher priority in the agenda also for policymakers. So we are having discussions, and there's a new project also starting about it. So we will follow this from our side, and then focusing on those two groups, socioeconomic groups, as I said, so the elderly and those respondents with some disability. So we did see that all of them do value having a human operator in the vehicle just in case they need some assistance. And those are just some bullet points about future challenges. So essentially, just summarizing different findings from WISAC outputs. I will not go into any detail, but just on the bottom two, the last two. So the one about collaboration. So it's very clear from all the activities that there is this need for this international collaboration at the national international level, but also at the local regional level. So projects like MoBAE are really, really exciting and really promising. So that's excellent. And also about those surveys. So to get this user perspective, as I said, there are a few more surveys taking place in the last year or so. But what is missing is this kind of coordination, and this is very important at this stage. So again, we're having those discussions within WISAC, and there are people with lots of expertise, so we're very happy to continue the discussion. So at this point, I'll say thank you very much, and apologies for the complications and the time.
Okay, thank you, Nikolas. Please, can you switch on the camera?
Yep. Should be on. Is it on now?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. Now we have a session of questions and comments about both presentations. Beginning with Maria. We have a question sobre la idoneidad y aplicabilidad de los modelos de negocio como el ride hailing, car sharing and carpooling en entornos como el gallego o el del norte de Portugal, con una población fundamentalmente dispersa, rural y envejecida. María, ¿tienes alguna idea sobre esto? Sobre cómo podrán aplicarse este tipo de modelos a estos contextos.
Sí, buenas, podéis escucharme, ¿verdad? Sí. Bueno, creo que la pregunta es muy relevante, creo, en el momento actual, donde se está buscando modelos de negocio para aplicar este tipo de soluciones, en concreto en zonas donde la demanda es menor, como decía, zonas más dispersas. Creo que es importante plantear servicios donde se gestionen las reservas, ¿no? Servicios que estén adaptados a la demanda, a la evolución de la demanda en distintos momentos del día, donde no haya un sistema como puede ser el del transporte público fijo, con un esquema fijo de operación. Entonces, ahí es donde, bueno, las nuevas tecnologías y la posibilidad de utilizar esa conectividad que permita, bueno, entender en qué momentos existe esa necesidad y hacer, por ejemplo, un servicio de reserva, puede ser muy importante. Al mismo tiempo, el vehículo autónomo en sí se plantea como una solución importante porque podría facilitar que el vehículo pueda estar operando y volviendo a realizar nuevos servicios en función de las necesidades. El vehículo autónomo, digamos, que ampliaría un poco esa la viabilidad de ese tipo de soluciones y haría que fuera accesible en ese tipo de zonas y, bueno, incluyendo también, por ejemplo, personas ancianas o personas con discapacidad que previamente pues no podrían tener acceso a ese servicio. Pero bueno, esa es una ventaja que se produce por la combinación de ambas cosas, la movilidad autónoma y la movilidad, digamos, como un servicio, ¿no? No sé si se responde bien a la pregunta.
Sí, claro que responde. Tengo otra pregunta para ti, que es
Sí.
¿cómo va a impactar sobre los trabajadores la irrupción de la movilidad autónoma? O sea, ¿cuáles van a ser los impactos y cómo se pueden adaptar los trabajadores a esta nueva situación?
También una pregunta muy relevante. El vehículo autónomo plantea, digamos, un cambio en la cadena de valor de la producción del vehículo, digamos, una base hardware más importante a una base software, ¿no? Entonces, fundamentalmente las competencias relacionadas con el desarrollo de software se van a volver, digamos, más relevantes en el futuro, relacionado también con los sistemas electrónicos que forman parte de estos vehículos, con la equipación. Entonces, digamos que, bueno, las necesidades van un poco en esa línea de más hacia, digamos, el uso de tecnologías de ICT, de información y comunicación, y la aplicación de estas al sector del transporte, ¿no? Las telecomunicaciones, es un poco parte de los cambios que se esperan en un futuro y que van a afectar no solo a la propia producción del vehículo, sino también a los sectores como puede ser el del mantenimiento, reparación de vehículos y, bueno, lógicamente tiene un efecto que, como decía antes, afecta a los sectores de la electrónica, las telecomunicaciones, que pasan a ser más importantes en el ámbito del transporte.
Okay, gracias. Nikolas, a question for you. How do you expect will be the introduction of autonomous vehicles in less urbanized areas? Do you have any idea about this? Do you know any initiatives regarding this theme?
Yes, I mean, this is a really good question, and we'll have touched upon this well, within WISAC, so a couple of years ago, and I know it is being discussed in different projects, so in different countries, so it is an issue. So first of all, one of the objectives is that maybe those vehicles will serve the first mile or the last mile. So this is what the function that they may serve, and that's what's being explored right now. And regarding the what you said, so I mean, in northern countries, in Northern Europe, there are some examples. In the US, they're starting in some areas, not in the coast, so less urbanized areas, but also in the I think also Austria. So let's say in the Alpine regions, there's trying some tests. So Austria on both sides. So Eastern and Western, I'm aware of some tests which are less urbanized. So there are within Europe some examples, and as I said, it's mostly about the first and last mile, and yeah, Austria and Switzerland have done some tests.
Okay, and another question is the same question that I did for Maria. Which are the main challenges for the workforce relating with the eruption of autonomous vehicles?
So you mean more about the kind of the challenges ahead?
Yeah, the challenges and the impacts.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, well, the impacts we're doing now. So we're as we speak, we're collecting, as you have seen, our survey, and then the Eurobarometer that the Joint Research Center has done. So from the user perspective, so from the people, from the general public, we're getting that's the expected impacts. But obviously, what I said, what I started today is with this 14 trillion. I mean, it's the magnitude of the investment. I think this is really important. So that there should be various impacts, but what people realize now, and lots of organizations and public authorities realize now, is that we should not only focus on the vehicle itself, but this kind of wider impacts for the environment around the vehicles, but also for the economy and the environment itself and the societal impacts. Those are really important, have to be taken into consideration right now. Because one thing we do not want to do is we do not want to create just more cars, because this is not the solution. We need to address something else. So if I understood some of the things that Maria was saying, so about sustainability and try to promote low carbon targets, so all those things, and this is just one of those means to achieve those goals.
Thank you. María, tú te has referido a los Living Labs como una herramienta para tratar de entender mejor y gestionar el sistema de transporte. ¿Conoces alguna iniciativa del Living Lab adaptada a contextos rurales?
Pues mira, en este sentido puedo mencionarte que estamos colaborando con la red europea de Living Lab, el European Network of Living Lab, ENOL, donde existe una cantidad de Living Lab importante en múltiples áreas que no tocan únicamente la movilidad, lógicamente, pero estamos creando un clúster de movilidad dentro de esta red Y entonces estamos ahora descubriendo estos Living Lab. Tengo que reconocer que en el sector urbano ahora mismo no sabría indicar un Living Lab específico, pero estamos precisamente haciendo una actividad de mapeo, de inventariado de los Living Lab que se dedican a la movilidad en este momento en distintos sectores. Por ejemplo, en el sector urbano sí tenemos identificados distintos Living Lab. Colaboramos, por ejemplo, de manera muy estrecha con Thessaloniki en Grecia y bueno, con estos distintos Living Lab estamos haciendo entrevistas, organizando con ellos un intercambio de información de las actividades que hacemos en distintas localizaciones y en distintos sectores para ver de qué forma podemos aprovechar sinergias y podemos complementarnos y podemos, por ejemplo, replicar las mismas soluciones que se evalúan, se experimentan en un Living Lab, que puedan experimentarse en otro para ver en qué medida los resultados se pueden extender a otras zonas y aprender un poco de la escala, ¿no? De aportar escala a los proyectos. Pero sin duda el aspecto urbano, creo, la dimensión urbana, esto rural, es muy importante.
Muy bien. Los participantes, si quieren enviar alguna cuestión, lo pueden hacer a través de chat. Tenemos todavía algún tiempo. Nikolas, one more question, please.
Sure.
In the survey, do you find any difference between respondents depending on their origin, rural versus urban, or even between countries? Are there differences?
Yes, I mean the urban-rural, we have not reached that point, so we haven't done any analysis about this, but this is on our to-do list, so that's definitely something we're looking at, but we haven't done it yet because it really depends also. We need to go into every country, so our survey is distributed nationally, so it depends on if we have enough rural areas, so that needs to be done at a country level, and it will take us a bit more time, but this is definitely one issue we're looking at the urban-rural. And then between countries, yes, absolutely, we're looking at this, and there are differences. So what we see is lots of factors influence those things, and we need to do further analysis once we have all of our countries, so all of our survey completed by the end of the year. So places like I remember Cyprus, for example, which has a high car ownership level in general. They are kind of keen, or we see some other countries like Iceland or the UK, we see people a bit more reserved, and this is quite interesting. So it has to do with the level of awareness. So if people have been exposed to more information or maybe to some trials, they have a higher level of awareness about autonomous vehicles in this case, or new mobility schemes in general, whereas in other places they have a much lower level just because the infrastructure or the tests, the vehicles are not there. So this is something that I have only a quick look. I haven't looked at the Eurobarometer in more detail, so maybe Maria, if she has any information she can share, but this is something that we will be doing in the near future.
Okay, thank you. Well, we don't have any questions. María, do you have to make any comment?
Quería añadir una cosa respecto al aspecto rural, en particular que el Living Lab de ISPRA, que estamos gestionando la parte de movilidad aquí en Italia, en el JRC, en realidad es una zona rural, entonces hay una alta propiedad del vehículo, alto uso del vehículo respecto a otras modalidades de transporte. Entonces creo que también podemos aprender algo en este sentido, ¿no? Del contexto rural debido a las características de la zona en la que estamos, ¿no? O sea, yendo un poco más allá de lo que es la sede en sí del JRC, las personas tienen esas necesidades, ¿no? esas limitaciones debido a la falta de alternativas y como había mencionado Nikolas en su presentación, pues los aspectos que importan, que son digamos, la motivación de muchas personas para elegir el vehículo privado, de hecho, para poder llegar a tiempo al destino, para poder realizar otras actividades durante el camino. Hemos lanzado, de hecho, nosotros una encuesta de movilidad en la sede de ISPRA para entender las necesidades de la población del JRC, entender qué modalidades de transporte usan en su movilidad diaria, en la movilidad para ir al trabajo y en la movilidad dentro también de la sede, para entender, bueno, cuáles son las motivaciones que subyacen esas decisiones y entender también decisiones en cuanto a la movilidad en viajes de negocios. Entonces, es una encuesta que nos está dando algo de información sobre bueno, los aspectos que influyen en la toma de decisiones de los usuarios.
Muy bien, muchas gracias. Bueno, no tenemos más cuestiones bueno, pues la hora ya va bastante adelantada. Entonces, lo que iría a hacer en 5 minutos es simplemente hacer una especie de sumario de lo que nos habéis dicho esta mañana, y comenzaría por decir que, de hecho, las tecnologías que están por detrás de toda esta movilidad autónoma, conectada, compartida, etcétera, van a tener, de hecho, un gran impacto en la movilidad y, sobre todo, van a tener un gran impacto en nuestras vidas, en cuestiones territoriales, en cuestiones de justicia social y equidad, de sostenibilidad y emisiones, empleo y tipo de empleo, uso de energía, etcétera, etcétera. El sistema de transportes es un sistema complejo y, curiosamente, a pesar de todas estas mejoras tecnológicas y de estas grandes alteraciones que vamos a ver en los próximos años, va a haber un conjunto de impactos que son un poco inesperados a priori. El aumento de la capacidad no conduce necesariamente a mejores condiciones en el tráfico, y eso se debe fundamentalmente a que todas estas mejorías tecnológicas pueden llevar a un aumento de la demanda. El transporte compartido y los vehículos compartidos pueden llevar, de hecho, a un aumento de la demanda, y los vehículos autónomos también. Y esto, obviamente, va a tener consecuencias, por ejemplo, sobre el nivel de emisiones, y vamos a tener un resultado que es, en este momento, completamente incierto, a pesar de que a priori podamos pensar que va a haber una reducción significativa de las emisiones. Relativamente al futuro del transporte por carretera, de hecho va a haber mejoras tecnológicas muy significativas, pero nos decía María que estas mejoras tecnológicas tendrán que ir acompañadas necesariamente de mejoras en los sistemas y, sobre todo, de mejoras en las políticas de transporte. Y en este sentido será muy importante construir una nueva gobernanza y, simultáneamente, crear Living Labs como instrumentos o como herramientas para abordar la complejidad de los sistemas urbanos. Estas herramientas nos irán a permitir evaluar la adopción de tecnología por parte del usuario, apoyar el diseño y el seguimiento de políticas y, al mismo tiempo, servir de banco de pruebas para startups y pymes. Como corolario, diría que de su intervención tenemos que avanzar hacia un sistema de transportes centrado en el usuario, en donde, de hecho, tengan una participación importante en las decisiones que afecten a la totalidad del sistema. Lo que nos decía Nikolas fundamentalmente es que hay un conjunto de grandes tendencias a escala global que tienen mucho que ver con la inversión que se hace en transporte, con el crecimiento de la población, con el crecimiento de las emisiones, etcétera, etcétera. Y a nivel de movilidad hay también un conjunto de tendencias muy relevantes, dado que la movilidad está avanzando cada vez más hacia una movilidad digitalizada, compartida, a una movilidad como servicio, a una movilidad en la que aparecen nuevos modos de transporte, como por ejemplo los drones, en donde tenemos vehículos eléctricos y vehículos autónomos. Veíamos también que en materia de vehículos autónomos España está relativamente atrasada en relación a otros países en Europa y a otros países en el mundo, y dado que lo que le preocupa fundamentalmente, o lo que le preocupaba en el ámbito de esta intervención, era hablarnos de los vehículos autónomos, nos mostró un ejemplo de una iniciativa en el Reino Unido fundamentalmente dirigida a las entregas de Last Mile. Nos presentó también los resultados de una encuesta realizada en el ámbito del proyecto europeo que coordina, en donde hay un conjunto de resultados muy interesantes sobre las expectativas que hay en relación a los vehículos autónomos en materia de, por ejemplo, de reducción de accidentes, de impacto sobre el empleo, de la utilización del tiempo para otro tipo de actividades, etcétera, etcétera. Y como sumario de su intervención, lo que nos venía a decir es que en la decisión de viajar y en la elección del modo continúan siendo muy importantes el tiempo de viaje y la confiabilidad, la seguridad, muy importante también. El empleo es una preocupación para todos los que participaron en la encuesta y al mismo tiempo algo verdaderamente relevante en todo esto es que la supervisión humana continúa siendo una preocupación para determinados grupos que podrían utilizar en el futuro con mucha profusión este tipo de vehículos, en concreto las personas mayores y las personas con discapacidad. Básicamente era esto lo que tenía que decir. Os doy las gracias a ambos por haber participado en la sesión. Gracias, María. Thank you, Nikolas, for being here and for participating and for your insightful presentation.
MoBAE, trabajando por el futuro de la movilidad avanzada y extendida.